Everyone has a parent, even cartoons. The best ones are always there for their children, going above and beyond to keep them safe, offer advice, and love them unconditionally. This video though, not about them parents. Instead, we'll be talking about the worst parents in cartoons.
What the hell?
Kind that in real life would have everyone around them keep CPS on speed dial. Neglectful at best, blatantly abusive at worst. And you know it goes down from there. In a cartoon, there's no limits, and these parents like to test that theory. For those watching this video, there might be graphic imagery, so viewer discretion is advised. For example, the Smith, Stan and Francine, but especially that bitch Stan, a CIA agent who loves his job and his country with a fiery passion. A pity he couldn't say the same about his kids though. Stan seems to treat both Steve and Haley as extensions of himself, and seeing one as a nerd and the other as a hippie causes his patriotic insecurities to go into overdrive. A lot of it is couched as protection or growth, like when Steve is afraid of sharks. Stan encourages Roger to disguise himself as a shark to help Steve get over that fear. Seems pretty standard for a parent to do, helping their kid get through a fear, even though Stan's clearly mostly doing it for himself and his own ego. And don't get me started, the end result was Roger bit off Steve's arm. Great planning there, Stan. Good job, buddy. This nigga goes to the absolute extremes to get what he claims is for his family, but it's really to satisfy his perfectionism streak. He wants the perfect family, able to stand up for themselves, except when he's the only one they need to stand up to. And that perfectionism of his shows up in drastic ways, like in the episode Father's Days, where he forces the family to redo Father's Day over and over until it's to his liking. To do that, he erases their memories again and again, manipulating them constantly until he's satisfied with the result. And he really won't be, not completely. Not when his own flaws are reflected on the rest of the Smith household that he can't recognize in himself. Still, I guess you can say he has his moments. He has his protective streaks, and deep down he does care about his family. But these next set of parents, it's all smoke with them. The parents of Butter Stotch, Steven and Linda, are certainly contenders for the coveted Most Infamous Parents Award. And in a town like South Park, that's saying something. On the surface, they seem like the most straight-laced and rational adults, fit in the childishly naive and perpetually optimistic Butters' upbringing. And his mom, that bitch Linda, has a psychotic breakdown and nearly drowns Butters in her own car. And as the episode progresses, Butters tries to find his way home. The Stotches find the company of a fellow attempted murder enthusiast before ultimately discovering Butters was still alive. They admit what they did publicly. Butters gets to go to Bennigan's, and that's it. No comeuppance, no punishment for nearly killing their kid. Granted, it's South Park, and the adults are all either idiots or functionally useless, but they couldn't be more blatant about it. And that ain't the last time they mistreat their own son for their own personal benefit. When Paris Hilton comes to town, she wants to buy Butters for $250 million, and Steven and Linda agree to it. I'm not gonna lie, I might think twice about it too. When he protests, he's forced to coal mine until he makes that exact amount somehow. And when circumstances make the deal go south, the Stotches blame Butters and ground him for something that was far beyond his control. And for parents, they really love grounding Butters over and over again, even when he's clearly the victim or someone else caused harm or for absurd reasons. One occasion had him get grounded all because South Park elementary school girls chose him as the least attractive in the class. Then you start to realize, beyond all the necessities and general sanity they appear to have, the Stotches are as authoritarian as anyone can get. Sure, they love him, sometimes, rarely, but they want to do so under their terms and their conditions. Even if it means selling their child to celebrity or sweeping their own crimes under the rug, so be it. Worst of all, they rarely ever get their karma in the show. South Park killing my nigga Kenny every episode. They can't kill off the Stotches not once. Now we gonna move on to the next family. The Griffins. Where do I begin with the Griffins? Apart from the fact they make the Smiths look respectable, and the Stotches reasonable, Peter just by himself blows all the competition out the water in terms of being a terrible parent. I mean, just look at his treatment of his loving daughter, Meg Griffin. She already the family punching bag, but Peter certainly tends to be the primary physical reason she goes through as much as she do. Direct insults all the way up to physical assault. He seems to have absolutely zero concern for her well-being as compared to everyone else. You want an example? A home break-in, and Meg is sent out of the safety of the Griffins panic room in order to get help. Peter, however, has some fucked up priorities and tells Meg to make him a sandwich over the house intercom that the intruders can hear because they're inside the house. The results were predictable, all while with Peter telling a story instead of focusing on his captive daughter. I hope that sandwich was worth it. Lois ain't any better either. He tends to go for the psychological aspects of abuse. At least the Smiths and Stotches wouldn't purposely leave their depressed child alone with a gun. They brought upstairs to give them an option to kill themselves, an alternative to, I don't know, talking to the kid. Not to mention jealousy and controlling, manipulative behavior to a disgusting degree. For example, there was no reason why Lois had to try and steal Meg's boyfriend boyfriend. No reason beyond spite and trying to improve her own self-worth by destroying Meg, from making out to outright attempting to fuck him, all out of pure jealousy. It says a lot that the resident serial predator is kinder to Meg than her own parents, sometimes anyway. Point is that Peter and Lois seem to take great pleasure in causing harm to Meg on all fronts. The girl cannot catch a break. Still, she's not the only one that gets neglected by the Griffins. Peter's habit to never take responsibility for anything tends to cause more harm to others than himself. Let me take you back to the time Stewie was knocked out going down the stairs. I'm not going to put all the blame on Peter. It was Meg and Chris that caused the initial injury, but Peter didn't help matters in the slightest. Instead of doing things like taking Stewie to the hospital or making sure he's okay, Peter hides the injury from Lois. He tries to actually frame Lois for the injury by throwing Stewie under her car when she was backing out the driveway. It was inconvenient for him, so now it's inconvenient for others too. And that's the main source of the problems with all these parents. They're flawed people with outlandish perceptions of what's considered good parenting, taking out their own problems on their kids to absurd degrees. Disproportionate punishment, perfectionism. Being in a cartoon don't take away from these very real flaws. If anything, there's more room to exaggerate the kind of things they can do. Thank goodness none of these characters are real life. But make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this.